Hey guys, Billy Eppenhart here on this vlog, and I have a special guest with me today. This is my wife, Becky, and we do some of these together, so we appreciate you watching the vlog. And today, honey, we're going to talk about in our life as we have encountered adversity, right? Because Jesus said in John 16, in the world you will have tribulation, but be of good cheer, I have overcome the world. So we want to talk about a little bit in these business blogs and vlogs for a minute about how adversity can really serve me as opportunity. In other words, what appears to be, you could call it turning lemons, something that's lemons into lemonade. So we talked about this story. We were laughing a few minutes ago. You heard, and I've told this story for years, but it's good for the vlog. It says there was a small store owner in Chicago, and his little bitty store got surrounded by this huge department store. And so the department store, honey, actually offered to buy his little store, but he wouldn't sell. And so the store kept building this huge department store, built all around him, completely had him surrounded. And then they put this massive sign up on the building that surrounded his for their new department store, and it said grand opening. And so this little store owner got very ingenious about, in other words, he said, look, I'm going to do something. And so he put this huge sign across his little store that said main entrance. In other words, he was going to get
Isn't all that a true story?
Yeah. Well, there's an element of truth, but the truth of it is that he turned adversity into opportunity. So we're going to talk about a couple of these things about how to turn adversity into opportunity. And one of them is just work hard on seeing the possibilities. I think one of the things you and I, in our relationship and partnership, whenever we have encountered, say, what I would call adversity or tough times, you've always been very good about encouraging me to see the possibilities, and it's not quite as bad as I may think it is.
Amen. It never is, especially if you live long enough.
Yeah, if you live long
If
enough.
you live long enough, you find out that the challenges are always going to be there, and you can either make them better or you can become bitter. And so it's so much easier to sit down and think of a way to make it better,
right,
than to become bitter over it.
Well, that's actually number 2 on there.
Oh, yeah.
Is you get better, not bitter. And the truth is that in that, because the number one difference between the word better and the word bitter is the letter I. In other words, most of the time when we focus on adversity and we get down or upset, it's because we're thinking about how it affects us. In other words, the letter I. And for example, as a couple, and that's what we're doing in this vlog, as a couple, you've always been good helping me to kind of lift my head up and see the possibilities. Sometimes I've helped you, not necessarily in adversity, but in other things, kind of help see the opportunity. But what we've both had to learn as a couple is we've had to grow through the challenges.
And that's what I was just going to say. But one of the things that we have learned because of the number of challenges or opportunities that we've been given in life is sometimes when you take the time to slow down and really pray about it and think about it, all kinds of new possibilities come out of that one challenge.
Exactly.
Because God has given us this creativity on the inside of us. And if you look at it as a positive challenge, you can come up, God just starts downloading things into you.
Absolutely.
And then it all of a sudden, it's so much better.
So much better.
So much better, and so many new opportunities.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think as we grow through that and we learn how to develop in the sense of responding to adversity in our life, it helps us to see the possibilities better. Number 3, and this is what you're talking about, is be receptive to new ideas and new approaches. I have people all the time will come to me and say, I don't know what we're going to do. I don't know how we're going to do it. And you just mention 1 or 2 ideas to them, and they go, well, I never thought about that. And we've done that with each other.
Oh yes, so much so.
So new ideas and new approaches, and I think you have to be open to that and be creative. Then number 4 is ask what I call the probing questions. And, one person called them depth-charged questions. But in your life sometimes it's almost like a horse that has blinders on and you don't really see. You're only seeing one really narrow possible solution to this. But when you take the blinders off, right, by asking the different questions, in fact, you know, one of the most disempowering questions somebody can ask is the question, why?
Why?
In other words, why is this happening? Why did this do that? But one of the most empowering questions that people can ask is, what can I do about it? In other words, if you begin to ask those probing questions, we've practiced that over the years, but most of the time, you know, you've encouraged me to do that. And then the last statement on how to turn adversity into opportunity is to stimulate your thinking with new people, new places, and new ideas.
Amen. Well, I think one of the things is going back to the other question or point
Right.
that we were talking about is that one of the things is, as a couple,
Right?
because you live together, you eat together, you spend time together, you get to know each other. And when one person is faced with a challenge, like you said, you get that tunnel, hear no evil, see no evil,
Yeah.
speak no evil.
Right.
But the other person can say, hey, remember when?
Yeah, remember when.
And it didn't turn out like we thought.
Right.
Or remember you were talking about just the other day if you had this opportunity.
Right.
Well, and you know, I think that's the yin and the yang.
Yeah.
You know, you can encourage each other because you know each other.
Well, I remember when we were a really young couple. We're still young.
Careful.
But I remember when we were really young, and there was this house, remember? This is many years ago. And there was this one house we just thought was the ultimate house.
I
for
know what you're
us. You
talking
remember
about.
that?
It was beautiful.
It was a beautiful home, and we thought,
Oh, if we
man,
could live there."
that is the ultimate place to live, right? And so we
It looked
started
like a little
looking,
mini
and we were
mansion.
going to get a mortgage for that, and the mortgage person came back, and this is we were in our 20s. And the mortgage broker came back and said, well, you don't qualify. You remember that? We don't qualify. And so we said, well, what do we qualify for?
And they told us nothing.
And when they told us, you know, basically you couldn't buy a house. And so we started praying, and we met this guy, talking about divine
Yeah.
connections. And we met this guy, and remember, we're really young in those days. And he said, well, tell me about yourself. So we told him. And he said, well, you don't have any problem. You won't have any problem getting a mortgage. He said, I know somebody in the mortgage business. This guy was a builder, right?
Yeah.
And he showed us this house, and it was the ultimate mansion. I'm not embellishing this. When we finished with it, it had on the top floor, it had 4 bedrooms, 3 full bathrooms, and then in the basement built at the time we moved in, a brand new home, never been lived in. It had a full bath and another bedroom, so we had a total of 5 bedrooms, and it was a large house for us at the time. And we blew right past the house that we thought was the ultimate house.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it was almost, and it all happened within like 90 days. I mean, it was incredible. So you say, and the point is, Billy, well, the point is stimulate your thinking with new people, new places, and new ideas. And this guy was a new person.
Well, and I remember that, is that we were so down because they told us we couldn't even afford this little box.
Yeah, a little bitty thing.
You know, and one day you said, get up, we're going to go out. And I said, where are we going to go? You said, we're going to go look at model homes. And
That's
I
what we
said,
did.
why? We can't
This is-
even afford the little box.
Right.
And lo and behold, that's where we met Bill, and
Right,
the rest
Bill-
is history.
Bill was his name, and Bill came through miraculously, and it was amazing.
But if we'd
thing.
stayed on the couch,
Yeah, if we'd stayed
in
on
the
the
dumps.
couch, that's it.
we'd probably still not be having that little box house.
Right, that's right. So this is Billy and Becky Epperhart. We're talking about how to turn adversity into opportunity. We've given you 5 things here. We hope this has helped you. Want it to be a blessing to you. We'll see you right back here on another vlog.
Bye.